It's getting hot. E3 is almost here. And that means that May is almost in the books. And so today we're bringing you the 5 best Switch games from May. What's going on, everybody? It's Zach from Switch Force. Gabe is here, and it was a pretty darn good month. The year started off kind of slow for the Switch in terms of releases and games that we would recommend to purchase, but it picked up a lot this month, and it was decently tricky to make this list and whittle it down to 5 titles that we feel are the best of the month. We've got E3 to look forward to, but it's been a good one. So, Gabe, let's chronicle it and start with Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze.
Yeah, very hard to argue with this one. It's a phenomenal game. You can harken back to the arguments about the price point a little bit, but honestly, for the price, the amount of game that's here, and the sheer quality, regardless of whether it's been released or not, I think that's pretty good, and it gave a lot of people a chance to play it that hadn't played it before. We saw that it continues the pattern of these remakes and re-releases on Switch selling better than the Wii U counterpart, so yes, I feel like this is just rightly deserved.
Right, port or not, price point or not, it's still a phenomenal game. It's probably the, review-wise and critically, the best game of the month. It's still a ton of fun. I played through a whole lot of it. It's just got charm. It adds Funky Kong, who I don't personally enjoy that much because I feel like it ruins one of the best parts of the game, which is the difficulty. But it is a great way to open the game up to younger players or new audiences. And when the game is on, which frankly is just about every level, it is so good. The charm of the characters and the backgrounds is just incredible, and then the fun of the platforming, the minecart levels are top notch. Collecting the Kong letters is a really good challenge, and it just goes. It goes and goes. There's extra levels, there's more to unlock, and it's basically platforming perfection. I think this is one of the best platformers in a long time, and it, again, like Gabe mentioned, throw out if it's been released before or not, it's one of the best on Switch.
I do want to say this, though. It's been really interesting to see what the speedrunning community does with Funky Kong. I have found that is, super neat.
Yeah.
They're introducing their own difficulty to it. It's like, you're not going to die, and now it's just about, hey, do this as quickly as possible. Yeah, so I thought that was cool.
Right. We started with DK because it started the month, May 4th, $60. Definitely recommendable. Let's move on to another game that saw a Switch release this month, Little Nightmares Complete Edition. This one's $30. It released on May 18th, and it is super well done. This is one of those just indie games that sticks with you. It's not made by Play Dead, but it reminds me of Limbo, it reminds me of Inside, and still maintains a charm of its own. It's almost like Sesame Street gone wrong or Muppets gone mad. Some of the boss characters and the way that you interact with them and have to escape and hide, extreme tension. They throw the DLC in here. Gabe, I know you played it for the first time on Switch, and you were really impressed.
Yes, I love the sense of atmosphere and the sense of hey, what the heck is coming up? Because you're starting to see all types of weird, I don't even know what to call them, honestly. You see a lot of weird stuff in the game, and the sense of wonder just keeps going as you progress. It's not a terribly long game, but that's okay, because the DLC is also included in the package since this is a complete edition, and I'm honestly kind of glad that I played this on the Switch for the first time. As some of you may know, I was moving, and I didn't have my consoles or my PC set up for a few days, and playing this in bed at night was a really cool experience. So yeah, I love Little Nightmares. I've now played through it the same way you have, and I can also now say that I love it.
Hopefully it didn't give you any late night nightmares, because the ending is very stunning. It is a shocker of an ending that I really loved, and it just has that final kiss of well, I don't want to spoil it, but it has a great closing couple minutes and surprised the heck out of me. So definitely one worth getting all the way through, and a late port, but definitely a valuable one. All right, let's move to Mega Man Legacy Collection 1 and 2. And frankly, you can divide this up however you want. You want to get both of them on cartridge for $40. You want to get Legacy Collection 1 as a download for $15. You want to get Legacy Collection 2 as a download for $20. The game released on May 22nd, and it's awesome. It brings Mega Man to the hybrid for the first time. It's filling a bit of that Virtual Console void. I've been waiting for Mega Man to hit the console. I cannot wait for the X Collection, but this right here is so good, and it fits the Switch very well.
Yes, a small tease for an upcoming video this week, but this is one of the games that basically let me know hey, the Switch is the perfect nostalgic gamer's console. You're getting something that is from our childhood and you're getting it remastered a little bit. Remastered might not be the word, but there are different variations of it. You can play it in widescreen if you want to. I don't know why you would want to, but that's an option. You now have save points and things of that nature to make it a little bit easier if you never experienced the games growing up and you don't have that dexterity to get through them. But this is one of the things that I think the Switch is so great for, because these experiences are much smaller. You can beat a Mega Man game like in 30, 40 minutes, like depending on how good you are, right? If you're amazing at them. So this is like really good for like on the go as well. Quick little burst of getting a couple levels in and then create a save point, which you weren't able to do before. I actually like really was impressed with this. Like, it's still just Mega Man, but the way it functions and works on Switch, I was very, very impressed.
Yeah, it did bring up a little bit of an issue for me with the Joy-Con not being as amazing as I would have liked in terms of the D-pad, but you can totally push past that. And, you know, growing up, I always wanted to be very aware of, like, great games and great franchises that I missed, I was too young for. And this is an awesome opportunity. I know sometimes we get an overload of 2D side-scrolling pixel games, but you really can't go wrong with Mega Man. It's a great thing to add to your gaming repertoire. I would recommend Legacy Collection 2. I know Gabe would recommend Legacy Collection 1, but you really can't go wrong with either, and they're great portable experiences. All right. This one is a total surprise to me, but I'm telling you, it is super charming and super good. We'll have a full video later in the week when it releases on May 29th. That is Yoku's Island Express, $17.99. I teased this on Twitter a few days back because it was just an off-the-radar surprise. I saw someone mention it, saying like, ooh, like this is generating a lot of good buzz. And then I looked back, and Jake actually made a video last year on this game. And boy, it's something. It's basically a Metroidvania meets pinball meets Ori and the Blind Forest. Really cool art style, really great atmosphere and vibe with pinball gameplay, as well as Metroidvania elements where you're adding abilities and being able to explore more of the environment. Some really unique characters. I can't go into tons of detail, but I'm telling you, this one surprised me, and it's unlike anything else. And that alone was interesting, but then the quality and the polish is there as well. You're a dung beetle pushing a ball, trying to deliver packages. I mean, what better life would you want, Gabe?
Probably none, because that's my best life. You have actually made me kind of excited for this. You mentioned a couple of things that I really love here: Metroidvania games and Ori. For anyone unfamiliar, Ori and the Blind Forest is, a Xbox One game that has a sequel coming up at some point that I would really like to play. But you speak about those two, and then you say pinball, and I don't care about pinball, but the mixture of all three of these things maybe is going to make a fun experience. I haven't played it quite yet. I'm waiting to see the video you make first to see if it's something that I would actually enjoy. But I'm definitely intrigued by this one now. I know you love it.
It's really, really cool. There's even boss battles, pinball boss battles. It's one of those instances where they try to do something really like clever and it doesn't devolve into like kitschy gimmick, but it's like, wow, this was really a great way to imbue a new style of gameplay upon a familiar genre. And while you're not running and jumping like Ori, and while it doesn't have the same sadness, I guess, as Ori, that emotionality, it does have a similar very large map, a very beautiful map. You'll go from sort of forest type environments to more beachy type environments, indoor cave type environments. It's very cool, very pretty, and one that I highly recommend checking out if you're looking for something fun and different. And oddly, I didn't know this until we were going to do the video, it does have a physical version, but the physical version isn't coming out until June, and it's $40. So I recommend the download at $17.99. All right, Gabe, that brings us to our final game of the month. Our last pick for top 5 of May is going to be Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition, $60 on May 18th, right in the middle of the month. It is another port, and while we're not as high on this one as DKC Tropical Freeze, it's a quality game. You can't really argue with that, and they jam-pack a lot of content into this one. I know it doesn't matter, but I love the box art. I love seeing all the different eras of Zelda, friends and foes, unite in this title. And Gabe, you had your first experience with Hyrule Warriors here on Switch, and you found it pretty fun too.
Yeah, I had my very first experience with the game on stream, and boy, did I learn that some people are really into this game. I like what I played. I haven't finished the game, of course. We got code, and I started playing it, but then the move happened, and I would be lying if I didn't say, like, hey, I kind of thought about playing Hyrule Warriors a couple more times during the week. I just couldn't stream it, and that's what I wanted to do. I'll probably go back to it now that I'm all situated, but yeah, the game is very fun. It took me a little while to get used to the way, like, the mission structure is, because I'm not used to, like, hey, not defeating every enemy you see. In this game, it's impossible. There's just constant enemies. That's sort of not the thing. But once I figured that out, and you know, Warriors game are usually not to my liking, if I'm honest, but the fact that this has the mythos of Zelda around it, that definitely pushed it over the edge for me and made it an enjoyable experience for me. I think it's really cool to play, not obscure characters, but like Sheik, right? You play as Sheik in one of the very early levels, and I think that's very cool. So continuing on and maybe seeing more obscure characters as I continue is something I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah, and I don't want to call it mindless, but it is one of those games that you can kind of just hack and slash your way through. You do get the Zelda flavor and flair, oozing from every angle, and it's kind of just one of those popcorn type games. You know, it's not like going to be a super intense, serious adventure. It's not going to require a ton of strategy. It's just kind of fun, and you know, you can argue again about, oh, it's a re-release or whatever, but if you haven't played it, it's a first-party game that does a lot of things right, and we like it. All right, Gabe, that brings us to our honorable mention section. We give you a unified list for the top 5, but now we want to give you a personal pick based on our individual liking. So, Gabe, I'll let you go first.
I am going to pick the Bloodstained Curse of the Moon, a game that I didn't know I was going to like anywhere near as much as I did. When it was announced a couple of weeks ago, it was a cool little surprise. It was a stretch goal for the big Bloodstained game that's coming. That's called, I believe, Ritual of the Night, and they met the stretch goal. The game's out now. It's made by Indie Creates, and it's super, super awesome. I did not expect to like it this much. The common complaint is that the game is a little bit short. It has 8 levels, I believe. That's what people are saying. I haven't finished it quite yet. But the boss battles are something I really enjoyed. The variety from level to level, and the characters, right? Each character has the ability to get a few different spells or weapons, whatever you want to call them. And the variety that's there is super cool. I also love the music. When I play, like, pixelated 8-bit games like this that are more traditional side-scrolling, music is always something I pay extra attention to, just because, like, those, like, chip tunes, if that's even the correct terminology, that's something that always, like, really, like, connects with me. And this is a prequel to the Bloodstained game that's coming up, and I was honestly really, really impressed. I could talk about it for a long time, and I did. There's an individual about it if you want to video about it if you want to go check that out. But yeah, I love Bloodstained Curse of the Moon. It's
a really fun game. It may come across as not as cool if you don't have that sort of nostalgic flair. I could see some people dismissing it as just another 2D whatever, but if you do have that framing, I guess, I enjoyed it. The boss battles, I know, Gabe, was something you mentioned in your video, and I love those as well. I think they're super cool. The ability to switch characters and that you're adding characters, it's pretty awesome, and I'm eager to see if the full-on Bloodstained is able to maintain such polish. It would be a really nice Castlevania-alike, Metroidvania-alike, if it hits and is really good. It obviously has a very different art style. It's a very pretty game, I would say, and I'm sure we'll see more of it at E3, as it's expected to have a late 2018 release date. But yeah, this definitely builds good vibes, and even though it's made by a different team, and like you mentioned, Gabe, it gets me more excited for Bloodstained Ritual of the Night.
Yeah.
All right, my pick is going to be Wizard of Legend, which is a roguelike game that's been getting a lot of talk lately, a lot of airtime, a lot of airplay. It sold very, very well out the gates, and it's a bit of an interesting one. I think the gameplay is just superb. I love using the different arcana and the magic spells as you are this very powerful wizard going through levels. They are procedurally generated, and you have to defeat sort of 3 segments of level, and then boss, level, and boss, and it's very challenging, very difficult, but it's one where you can build your skill quite quickly as you begin to learn the game's systems and the function and kind of fill your loadout. That's where the fun and the replayability occurs, is obviously competing against the difficulty, but then also expanding your armada of arcana and utilizing the ones that you like best. The downers here, and why I didn't make the list, are that there isn't a whole lot of overall progression. The progression is just buying new arcana, buying new runes, buying new outfits. There isn't that same level of overall progression that you might have liked from something like Rogue Legacy. And at $15.99, it's more expensive than something like Enter the Gungeon, which does have seemingly much more content there. And I would prefer Enter the Gungeon over Wizard of Legend, especially given the price differential. But it's still very much worth it at $16. I still think it's worth checking out. A lot of people are playing it on YouTube, so you can check it out. Humble Bundle did a really good job publishing this one, and I think it's a lot of fun. If they ever do a content update, it could definitely rise the ranks. But that's our list for May. Let us know what's your favorite game of May, and if there's any of these that you haven't checked out yet, please do. They're all really, really cool. To recap that list, it's Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, Little Nightmares Complete Edition, Mega Man Legacy 1 and 2, Yoku's Island Express, Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition, and then Gabe gave his honorable mention to Bloodstained Curse of the Moon, and I gave my honorable mention to Wizard of Legend. So those are our games. We're moving into June, but it's been a really great month, so let us know your take in the comments down below. Make sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all the latest and greatest from the Switch and stellar releases like these. Follow us on Twitter and Discord. We're going to E3. It's less than 2 weeks away, and we cannot wait to experience all of it with you. So we'll see you there. Until then, everybody, thanks again. Have a fantastic day. For myself and Gabe, Switch Force out.